leagues at one point.
It's big, but it's bigger than that.
Let me share.
Broadcast is live.
Okay, I'm going to share something fun with you. This almost got changed this week to something else. I have concept art for Fire Mountain.
Ooh.
Wow.
We're going to hold that. I think that's going to be next year.
You son of a...
There was a serious moment where we thought about switching Disney Mountain and Fire Mountain. It came very close. And yes, it was actually Atlantis. It's unbelievable.
That could be
so good.
That could be a good live for the 10th anniversary weekend.
That's true too. That would be great. Maybe we will do that. These kind of things are few and far between. You don't find stuff like this.
I mean, that at least got the hype balloons. So
often. I've been holding on to this for this is a little over a year. Waiting for the right moment. For those of you just joining us, what has happened is we reached our goal in our 45-hour broadcast, and that goal was $6,256. We actually raised $6,568 for Toys for Tots, a wonderful organization that makes sure that underprivileged children get a toy this holiday season. And as promised, we are going to do our signature segment. The signature segment is Back to the Future. It's our history segment. And we're going to do something we've never done before. It's going to be an entire one of these segments devoted to something that has never seen the light of day. In my journeys, I came across this document. It was a pre-feasibility book on a project. You see there, it says Walt Disney Imagineering. A project called Disney Mountain. And it is it's very rare. Obviously, we talked about the Switzerland book on the show last year. The Switzerland Pavilion is known. People knew that existed. We just never knew exactly what it was. We never knew exactly what was in there. And so it was really cool to see in there and see exactly what it was. This time around, this is something I never even heard a rumor for. I have searched the internet for the last couple of months trying to see if anyone has ever even hinted at this. I haven't found anything. Nothing. Jim Hill's never written anything about this. No one has anything about this project. So we're going to get this segment started in a couple minutes. We're still doing some prep. We're recovering from obviously the chaos that just happened as we raised another almost $3,500 in the last 40 minutes, which is clinically insane. You peeking at the script? Oh, you're peeking at Nick. Nick just delivered the script to me, and I saw him thumbing through it. Tisk tisk, Nicholas. Does it live up to your expectations? Nick just gave me a thumbs up, so that should tell you something.
Oh man.
Yep. This is an exciting one. I'm excited to do this. This is a thrill.
How many minutes do we have before we get started?
Enough for you to go do whatever it is you probably need to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take a quick break then.
Absolutely. Everyone on staff has been here for a long time. Please go ahead if you need to do something for a few minutes. Please go do it now before we dive into this.
What is the time frame of this project? When was it proposed?
Oh, we'll find out.
Oh. You haven't even told me about this, jerk.
It's a big. You're about to find out.
To find out.
All we heard, Jason, was to find out. We didn't know what else you said.
Oh, why didn't you hear the whole thing?
I don't know. You just came in and said to find out, and then
You're about to find out.
There you go. Little phantasmic for everybody.
Oh, man.
Who's doing the where Tom where and the and the whoosh? Any volunteers?
Cheers.
I could do it.
All right. And Jason, you have all the art ready to go?
I don't have it in any sort of order. I just have it the way you sent it. But
It's probably fine. And just use the pictures that actually have art. Obviously, don't use
yeah,
the back.
yeah. No, we'll get to it. I mean, I'll scroll around if we have to get it.
All right.
To get what we need to do.
Yeah,
We'll have time.
There was another donation.
Oh, come on.
It was another one of my friends requesting a weather report.
Go ahead.
Oh God, I hate everyone and everything. It's for the tots, though. I will give a weather report for West Haven, Connecticut, right now. Live from WDWNT Action News Weather Channel. It's about 40 degrees here in West Haven, Connecticut, and it continues to get colder and colder, and I think ever more about moving out of this awful state. Snow will be coming here soon, and I hate it. I hate every little white thing that falls from the sky. As it continues to get colder, I will think more and more about times I will spend in Walt Disney World. So thank you, Brandon, for your $25. That's the weather. Oh, my pukey voice. It is dark outside, Mark, yes. It's very dark out. Do.
Yes. For those of you just joining us, we're going to be starting this up in a few minutes. The story of Disney Mountain, an unrealized project for the Walt Disney World Resort that has never seen the light of day. We looked all over the place. No one has any documentation that this ever existed. But now in our trademark Back to the Future segment, we're going to unveil it to the world. Ben doing a recording of this? I do need a recording of this segment. Audio.
He said he's still recording all the audio.
Okay. Ben, maybe break it up a little bit. I know those big files can be a real pain to separate later. If you're not breaking them up.
If you're in the radio studio, Tom,
Nick does it
recording?
the way Nick is running all this to make it work makes it hard to put in the recorder.
Oh, all right. I thought once we got rid of Skype, it would be doable, but that's fine.
No, just the whole way this thing is wired is a little rough. But we hope to get underway in just a few minutes. Nick, is everything ready on your end over there? Cool. Everything's ready on that end. We got everybody back in here now?
I think so.
Is
Ben's
Ron
not back.
is Ron not joining us for this?
No,
Oh,
Ron.
no, Ron's not back. That's
Oh,
who's
Ron's not back. Okay. Once Ron gets back, we'll get this thing rolling. That's everything that was won by anybody. Put it all in a neat pile for you.
I just keep staring at this picture, and I'm just
Well, you should look. Did you look at the one I just tweeted?
Oh no, I
No.
didn't. It's just let me go
There's
back.
a little bit of concept art I just put out there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're excited to do this in celebration of our huge victory, raising so much money for Toys for Tots, a wonderful organization. And yes, we will be back again next year to do this all over again. We're a glutton for punishment.
It's true.
Huh? 35? I don't know yet. No.
24? You said 24?
No, I don't know. See, I'll have this conversation live on there. You want to have this conversation? We'll have this conversation. I can't fit all of you in a 24-hour show anymore.
That's actually really true.
I can't do Nerd Alert and Back to the Future and all the games and News Tonight and See You Relate and Family Feud and then Jedi Hero Prince. I can't fit that all.
That's a really good point.
24 hours. And I like to put some breathing time. Could you imagine if we went down to like 30 hours again? Could you imagine what a cluster it would be?
That would be
To
an
have to do
awful mad rush.
Stuff back to back to back to back.
Because almost nobody would get a break.
Like 45 hours. This actually, if it wasn't for the technical issues last year, I think trying to fit this all in 45 this year was tough. I think I think we had a hard time getting everything into the 45 hours this year. So
Yeah, the overnights were definitely easier this time because we had stuff, and we came off stuff really late with the game shows.
that's the thing is I hate to say this. I know we've always had a reputation for being a little unorganized and a little bit not knowing what we're doing. The last couple of years, I think we've kind of figured it out. And the more we do these things, I hate to say this, the better we're getting at things. Like we came on the air fairly flawlessly into this show, other than some minor camera problems during a couple of the video shows, which, wasn't really our fault anyway. The stream never dropped. It was a fairly, and even those late night hours, the Quiplash games and stuff, everybody seemed to really enjoy.
Was it actually you last night?
That was me, yeah.
Okay.
You were playing along with us?
I was, yeah.
Okay.
I got home, I was laying in bed, and I opened YouTube to watch stuff before I go to bed, something to go to sleep to. And it said, live, on now, WDWNT. I was like, oh, that looks good. I should watch that.
That looks good.
So, yeah. Again, we're gonna get going any minute here now. Is Ron back with us now?
Ron is back. I think
Ron's
now
back.
we're.
Run back. Did Ben leave, or is Ben still around?
I know he was asking if he had time to take a shower,
No.
but that was the last I heard.
Well, that
I
was a
don't-
little
I don't
while
know if we
ago,
have-
too.
We don't really
I'm
have
not-
shower time. Some people have work tomorrow. I'd like
He's
to
still
get
listed
people
as
home at a reasonable time today.
Okay.
he's still showing as on Skype, so if he wants to come, I guess. Do we have room here?
We could.
We do.
Yeah, Ben, do you want to
Oh,
come into the hangout?
I think he just came in. No, maybe
That
not.
was
Or he's
Skype.
going to.
Skype, no.
That's on Skype. But Ben, we have room if you want to come into the hangout.
I really enjoy the Google Hangout.
We're making it work. I'd still like to work on the delay Nick and I have between the audio and the video, and there's a really convoluted reason for that. That's just a necessity right now. But I think we're going to work on fixing that. Maybe before January 4th, we'll sit down a couple times and try to figure that out. I think we can do it.
After using Hangouts for like a year, I think I might have finally figured out some of the camera issues too.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
the
I told you about that weird locking thing it does sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah, and that
lock,
so
yeah.
So I think the present to everyone and the present and the white box are like independent of each other, and it's really weird. And I got to look at documentation to figure out for sure. But I over the past 45 hours, Ben said he's trying to get in. We should have only 9 people in here.
Shaking its logo at me. We don't have that many people.
No, we should be able to get one more.
Yeah, I thought so.
There's room
Ben.
for one more. Any volunteer?
Refresh. That's what it's
Yeah.
getting stuck with.
There
me.
we
Just
go.
Oh,
refresh.
there he is. Ben's in.
All right.
But yeah, the whole running this hangout thing is sometimes a little confusing, but I think I'll have it under control by January. How about that?
Sounds good. Look at that big art. You blew that art up. Look at that. Looks good.
I did. So I've got the video going with the Disney Mountain cover of the artwork, and so yeah, because people some people are watching this in a relatively small screen. I'm gonna have the artwork up, and I'm gonna like zoom in on different aspects as we talk about it. So it's not like you'll see the whole page at once, unless we need to do that. But
Yeah.
But yeah, let's. You want to go ahead and
Power Mr. Fusion?
yeah,
I think I was muted. Am I okay now?
you're good
Yes.
now, Ben.
Okay, there we go.
And Ben, you're still recording, right?
Yes, I am still
All right.
recording on the laptop.
Perfect.
Also, my
Okay.
roommate left. So,
Oh. All right.
Ray?
no, it's like that was.
With
Yeah,
the
I've-
guy
I've
over
been-
your shoulder, it looked a little Kafka-esque in there.
What's up?
Looked a little Kafka-esque.
It doesn't really like feel that way. I mean, I guess it's just the angle.
I think it's just the.
It did look like a library at a school.
Yeah.
Just like there would
No,
be a ton
this
of
is- this
tables.
is
Now you
just-
ruined the illusion. How dare you?
Breaking the magic here.
All right. So
I think we're ready to do. Nick, are you all
Let's do
ready? Nick is working hard, bagging prizes and stuff. Thank you, Nick.
okay.
We didn't get to thank Nick. He wasn't here. He went to the bathroom when we were thanking everybody.
Remember
Thank you,
how
Nick.
easy it was to receive your prizes?
Going above and
Thank you, Nick.
beyond.
You taxed
Yeah.
them.
Nick, anyone who's getting a prize or played a game or everything this weekend, Nick was a huge part of that. Please appreciate and
Yeah.
thank Nick for everything he did this weekend as well.
Nick's been a huge part of the network since he's joined. He's really been awesome.
Absolutely.
Like, as much as people like making fun of him, he does real work for us.
How many times was my engagement brought up this weekend?
About 7.
We're not bringing up what happened during some of the Quiplash games.
I saw it.
You just brought it up. You just
Connor
did
sent
it.
me a screenshot anyway.
Oh, Connor Persicki.
Good work, number one. Good work. Joking. Crystal Straps is still number one.
Oh, that's getting tagged. Hold on.
That makes you number 2, Connor.
What does that make you, Patrick?
I weigh.
Absolutely nothing.
I am way down on the list.
Which is what you are about to become.
Oh, jeez. All right, are we ready to do this, folks?
Let's do it.
Nick is ready over there. Jason, you ready? Where's Jason now? Oh no.
Oh, did we lose?
There we
Oh,
go.
I'm here. Can you not hear me?
No. Now we can.
Okay, that was weird.
All right, give me that pretty logo.
Which
The
one?
The page. Give me the front page.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Nick, fire it up.
Time travel commencing in T-minus 10 seconds and counting.
It's once again time to go back in time as we head back to the future on the WDW News Today podcast. Let's set our time coordinates for this week's trip through Disney Parks history with Professor Tom Corliss.
I don't mind. It's better promise me I'll be back in time.
It's time to go back.
Where, Tom? Where?
Back to the future, Patrick. Right, to better understand where the Walt Disney World Resort is heading in the future, we need to look back at past attractions, current favorites, and this time around, things that never happened. Welcome to our very first video edition of Back to the Future. Call it a Back to the Future Live. Of course, also released in audio on the WDW News Today podcast. But we invite you. There's going to be artwork and stuff. Please go watch this on YouTube if you'd rather have that experience. But anyway, joining me for the segment, Patrick Hackett.
Where we're going, we don't need mountains.
Jeez. Ron Deanna.
That's the power of love.
Nicholas Cicero.
I'm excited to be here.
Connor Persicki.
Witty greeting.
Ben Harris.
I paid for this bit.
You did. Ashley Jasmer.
I can't follow that. So hey, y'all.
It's all right. You beat Patrick for the pop vinyl. You could always hold that over him.
We're not doing a bit.
Stop it. And Jason Diffendahl.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Jason Diffendahl in the control booth for this one. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. He's powering the flux capacitor, throwing cheeseburger flatbreads into it to keep it powered. So this edition of Back to the Future is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction. And no, we're not doing Tower of Terror. We have never really done a Back to the Future simply focusing on something that's never happened. Unbuilt attractions and things are certainly, I think, at the heart of being a Disney fan. There's nothing that excites you more about hearing about things that never happened. We all talk about Fire Mountain and the Switzerland Pavilion, and I'm sure there's many more I'm not even thinking of right now. The Great Muppet Movie Ride, all these things that never happened. And it just fascinates people in all sorts of fandoms. The things that don't happen always fascinate people. And so in this case, what we wanted to do, I had come across this had fallen into my lap quite a few months ago. Who are we looking at right now?
wasn't.
Just Ashley on camera right now. Okay.
I don't think it's me.
I don't know what's going on.
Are we going to just the live speaker? No, because I'm not popping up.
If you want to give me presenter, I'll move the camera.
No, Jason got it.
Oh, okay.
Got it. Anyway, we're always
There we go.
fascinated with these things that never come to fruition. So this sort of fell in my lap a couple months ago. This is a pre-feasibility study for Walt Disney Imagineering project. So if you're watching the video, you'll see that that's the cover of the book. That's the cover of the pre-feasibility study. And it just has the Walt Disney Imagineering logo and the text that says Disney Mountain. So I remember getting this book and I'm looking at this cover and I'm going, Disney Mountain, what is this? Is this going to be like some really bad name they had for one of those mountains they wanted to build at the Magic Kingdom in the 90s? Like, what is this? And then I opened it up and it was far beyond my wildest dreams. It was something, it's very hard in this fandom to find things that no one's ever written a blog about or ever talked about and no one's ever said it ever existed. And this is one of those things that it never happens. This is this project that somehow never leaked. No one ever talked about it. And it's called Disney Mountain. So what we're going to do in this particular Back to the Future is examine the pre-feasibility study for this project called Disney Mountain, intended for Walt Disney World. So is everybody ready to take this particularly interesting trip through time?
Absolutely.
Let's get on that alternate timeline.
All right, it is alternate timeline. At some point, history skewed, right? Anyway. All right, so we're going to set our time coordinates. The year is going to be 1986. And in 1986, there was some interesting stuff happening at Walt Disney World. Epcot Center had just opened 4 years before that. Michael Eisner and Frank Wells were in charge of the company and had some pretty ambitious plans. And at this point, they were already working with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer on the what they were calling at the time the MGM Studio Tour. It wasn't even a park. It was called the MGM Studio Tour. It was going to be basically the Great Movie Ride and the Backlot Tour, and that was kind of going to be it. And so it was meant to be like a half-day experience, which it was when it opened, but it had a little more to it. Eventually, through the years, they developed a little more for it. But they realized where they were building the studio tour was in a decent proximity to Epcot Center. So they had this nice chunk of land between what would be the Disney MGM Studios and Epcot Center. Jason, I don't know if I think there's a decent piece of art that at least shows like the layout of the two parks and the space between it. I don't know if you want to start finding that. So what they wanted to do with the space between, you may recognize this space today. It's known as the Crescent Lake area. There's a number of resorts that lie in this space. But what they wanted to do was find some way to easily connect the Disney MGM Studios and Epcot Center. So here you go. There's the map up there. You'll see that Disney Mountain site is a weird, like an asterisk kind of just between Epcot, which in this case is a blank potato, and there's just the word Studio Tour underneath. And that's the location. Interestingly enough, if you look at that, I love that conservation area down there, which didn't last, by the way. And then also that future development area, which would eventually be the I believe it's the Animal Kingdom area, no?
No, future development.
Is that Celebration?
That's Celebration.
Oh.
And the conservation area, they basically had another conservation area somewhere else in Florida that they kind of swapped the building rights for.
Yeah, because they just have to keep the amount of acreage.
Right, it doesn't have to be in the same place.
It doesn't have to be a particular area as long as they have a certain amount of conservation area. So yeah, that future development, never mind, was Celebration, which I guess they were already maybe thinking about in '86. Interesting enough, but there you go. There's a look at that. So they want to do something between that land. So I'm going to read you a little bit from this pre-feasibility study. The Disney Mountain concept was developed by Walt Disney Imagineering in early 1986 as an innovative multi-use complex that complements existing and planned activities at Walt Disney World. There's going to be a lot of legal type speak in this. It's a pre-feasibility study. It's made for number crunchers and all kinds of people. So bear with me through some of this. The purpose of this pre-feasibility study is to test the technical and economic viability of the concept. This is done by developing a conceptual program of the project and applying cost factors in order to produce order of magnitude capital and operating cost estimates. The program has been developed on the basis of reasonable market demand and historical profit and loss data, and the other assumptions in conjunction with WDI, Disney Development Corporation, the DDC, and the Walt Disney World Resorts. However, it has not had the benefit of any market demand studies tailored to the unique nature of this project. The space program was developed using Walt Disney Company basic data on hotel room counts, entertainment and retail gross areas, and seat counts for the amphitheater and convention facilities. The order of the magnitude estimate was developed by examination of hotel and other cost data in the Orlando area and reconfiguration of this data for the particular applications of this project. Disney Mountain is a unique combination of hotels, restaurants, convention, entertainment, and merchandise facilities built as an integrated megastructure rising above the landscape of Walt Disney World, linking Epcot and the studio tour. The unified structure with shared services, circulation, and parking creates an environment which is both technologically advanced and human in scale. So maybe now you're starting to get the idea behind this. But maybe, Jason, we could use a little bit of a illustration. The key objectives of this project are, these are the bullet points: to create an unparalleled destination in a unique man-made and natural environment, to provide the focus of all activities at Walt Disney World, to achieve a cost-effective real estate program that accommodates the existing and future demands of Disney World, and to create a viable development in the Disney tradition of innovation that meets corporation investment goals.
So it's the core of Progress City, kind of?
In a lot of ways. We're going to come back to the original Epcot Center a lot in this. And I feel like this is still, at Imagineering at this time, a lot of those guys are still there. A lot of those guys that worked with Walt, but then were put on the Epcot Center project when it became a park, are still very much alive and well here. And I think there's a part of them that, as proud as they are of Epcot Center, still kind of wants to push the envelope and do something of a community of tomorrow on the Disney World property. They still believe in that at this point in time, that that's a thing that can be done. And while this isn't a community with people living full-time inside of it, there is a lot about it that mirrors Epcot, and we'll get to that as we go through.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear to provide the focus for all of the activities at Walt Disney World. This is a very central sort of concept for all of Walt Disney World. So that's clearly an Epcot, harkens back to the Epcot idea.
And it's in that area. I mean, this is just below Epcot. It's going to connect to a brand new idea, the studio tour. Another thing to keep in mind, if you remember, when Walt shows off the Florida project, you have up here, you have the Magic Kingdom and the resort area. Then you have Epcot Center, both the residential district and the business district, the factories. But then you keep going down, and it just keeps connecting all in a line via transportation systems. And that's kind of what's happening here. You have the Magic Kingdom at the time. They've built Epcot Center, and now they're going to build this studio tour down here, and they want to build something between. It is a little off from the original Florida project plan, but from an aerial view, if completed, this is going to look a lot like Walt Disney's original Florida project. It's going to be a little different. There's not going to be some of those functions, but in a lot of ways, very similar. So if we may move on, the next part is about the purpose of the study. The purpose of the study is to test, in a broad sense, the technical and economic viability of the concept. This has been done by developing a conceptual program of the project and applying cost factors in order to produce order of magnitude capital and operating cost estimates. The program has been prepared, again, on a basis. I think I read this already, actually. It's twice. This is in there twice, by the way. That's why I have it here twice. But again, they just want to, this is very early pre-feasibility. They haven't done a lot of market studies at this point. But also, this is 1986. This is near decision time. Like, they've got to decide. They're about to start construction on MGM. So it's about time to figure something out. All right, so let's talk about the next part, called the program. The physical dimensions of Disney Mountain can be broke into several major elements. Site planning and circulation infrastructure. Disney Mountain and the neighboring studio tour, notice it's called the studio tour in this document, will be built in the land area southwest of Epcot. The site is currently a combination of woodlands, wetlands, and highlands. The creation of this new resort area will help alleviate World Drive on peak days of attendance. The integrated and compact concept of Disney Mountain should reduce the requirements of site development and infrastructure. Very much borrowing from Epcot. But the other thing you got to realize, Jason brought up the point about the point about this being the center of the functions of Walt Disney World. They kind of allude to that. You got to think about Walt Disney World in 1986. Walt Disney World in 1986, there is the Magic Kingdom. They got a couple resorts up there. You then have Epcot Center, and you have the Village. That's pretty much it. You have River Country also. There's not a whole lot. They hadn't gone crazy building resorts yet. That's not a thing that's happened yet. So really, the idea that this project would be sort of the center focus of Walt Disney World is not unreasonable. There's not a whole lot here yet. And that should give you an idea of just how big the expansion was in the late 80s to late 90s. You think about how many resorts we have now. What is it, 20? I don't have the number in front of me. It's 20-something. You have 20-something resort hotels. At this time, you have a handful. This is 1986. This isn't lifetimes ago. It's not that long ago. But that gives you a good idea of just how fast the expansion was in the late 80s and early 90s. Any points to be made on that? Anyone want to say anything?
So, I mean, at this point, things that would be starting to be discussed is Pleasure Island and Typhoon Lagoon, which are down towards Hotel Plaza Boulevard, which already existed at this point as well.
Correct.
Did the Epcot resorts exist?
No.
They have
Caribbean Beach was still, 2 years away?
But the Swan and Dolphin would have been in development around this time as well, wouldn't they?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Caribbean Beach.
You're about to
opened
find
in
out. Not yet.
89.
What was that? When was Caribbean Beach?
I believe it opened in 89.
I thought 88.
88. Okay, yeah, 88.
Yeah,
I was there in 89. It
So
opened
that-
in 80.
And Grand
Well, I
Flow
still-
would have been under construction right now.
Grand Flow is
Maybe?
most likely under construction. Caribbean Beach, they might be about to pull the trigger on. It could be under construction. I don't have the timeline in front of me. I don't have the date in 1986 for this pre-feasibility study. It just says 1986. Could be any time in the year. We don't really know.
So like
Based-
Gatton Beach, though, they didn't exist, or Boardwalk, they didn't exist.
Nope. More on that in a bit. You guys are making some good points. I like this. You're alluding to things I'm going to get to. This is working nicely. All right, so we talked about that. Let's talk about World Drive. There's not
just
a
a
lot
second. I want to.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, please.
I just put up the graphic of the Florida project layout sort of sketch, and you can see where the Magic Kingdom would be here, Magic Kingdom up here, and then you've got Epcot is down here, Epcot's here, and then this is sort of where Disney Mountain would fall in this sketch of things.
Yeah.
So would that be
so-
getting a monorail extension?
We'll talk about it.
Oh.
Does that say Swamp Ride over there on the left?
I'm glad I'm not
they
the
went
only
on
one who
Swamp
noticed that.
Ride, yes.
Airboats. That was a big thing. Walt, you got to remember, the idea of a second park didn't exist when they were designing Walt Disney World. So Walt's
No, 'cause
going,
this says park. Look, Magic
Yeah.
Kingdom is the
It's
park.
way up
and,
there.
Walt is thinking,
But there's Swamp Ride down here.
yeah. So
Yeah,
Walt is
Swamp Ride.
thinking theme park up here, hotels next to it, my city of tomorrow.
City of
And,
Tomorrow
you
would
know,
be
and
down
then he's
here.
like, all right, golf courses. That's another thing you could do. Golf courses. He's like, we're in Florida, Swamp Ride. Let's have airboat rides. Let's put that over there.
But golf,
that's-
you've got swamp.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is you're not thinking about more parks. That idea is not even something anyone's even dreamt about.
Because there was no more parks. There was Disneyland. There was Walt Disney World. There wasn't another park. They weren't thinking about Epcot as a park. Epcot was
No.
not a park at this
It
point.
was a whole
So
different thing. It was kind of like
it was
like a
kinda
World's
like
Fair
big-
city type exhibit.
It was kind of like this big flowery thing here in this graphic where
It was a
this-
big city you could visit and do all kinds of
this,
things.
And this was it. And then so this actually where it says convention facilities here, this would have been Disney Mountain because Disney Mountain had convention facilities. You just
But we
read it,
didn't
Tom.
get there yet. Hold on.
No, you just read it in the beginning of the
I did
feasibility
say. I
study.
guess I
Said
did.
it included convention facilities.
But it is important to keep in mind this original plan because a lot of this comes back to life here, and it's again the Disney company holding on to that Epcot idea as long as possible. But World Drive, again, you got to think how few roadways there are at Walt Disney World at that time, too. World Drive was a nightmare because there wasn't a whole lot of other roads. There was Epcot Center Drive and World Drive and very, very little else on property at that time. It wasn't the wonderful sprawling road system they have now, which I think works pretty well today, but back then, World Drive was always a disaster.
Well, and it works better now because more people stay on property. Back then, there were all kinds of hotels along 192 down here, and the main entrance was World Drive. I mean, we think about it today. You know, I can't even remember the last time that I drove into Walt Disney World via the 192 main entrance.
Yeah.
You just don't go in that way. You know, even when you're coming from the airport.
Only if I go to studios do I end up.
Yeah, but I mean, normally coming from the airport or wherever, you come in off of Epcot Center Drive. But back then, all of the hotels that fed into the Magic Kingdom were on 192, and so everybody on 192 came in that main entrance up World Drive, and that's why World Drive. Even going to Epcot, you did. Because that was the way you went to Epcot. You didn't
even as a kid, I kind of remember World Drive being a mess as a kid. And it's crazy. At some point in my childhood, it just stopped. And I think it was that rapid expansion.
Well, and
it was they built the hotels.
Yeah. And I'm sure it wasn't the 3 or 4 lanes it is now back then either. If I remember, I think it was 2 lanes each way.
Probably.
I think in the 90s, they early 90s, I think.
I want to say 2 lanes sounds about right.
Yeah,
I remember being stuck in traffic and turning on to the radio station to listen as we're trying to get to like our room at the Contemporary.
Yeah, the radio station was cool. Used to give you all the advisories, but also tell you about stuff you could do. It was pretty neat. All right, so let's talk about the Disney Mountain substructure. The substructure is a unique element of Disney Mountain, conceived initially as a megastructure built in the image of a terraced mountain. It will be designed to accommodate multi-level parking, utilities, most of the backstage functions, and certain elements of the visitor attractions themselves. It will comprise of 5 levels. Hotels will wrap around the lower 5 levels and extend above the podium level as discrete structures. The podium level provides pedestrian circulation and many themed attractions. So this is the real meat of this, folks. Here we go. The facilities woven in and around 7 themed villages.
7?
Yeah, 7. Are the following facilities: 10 hotels with different classes of service for a total of 6,250 rooms. Approximately 100 themed attractions, including food and merchandise outlets. Wow. A themed tower in the center of the mountain. A state-of-the-art convention center, a 4,000-seat amphitheater, a multi-level garage, and all of the central services for operation and maintenance. So now you've got the idea. 5-story mountain, 10 hotels, convention center, a Hollywood Bowl-style amphitheater. The garage is inside the mountain. Inside the mountain is the garage. It's hidden from view. Inside this structure. I reading this the first time, I am as amazed as I was when I heard Walt Disney describe his Epcot Center.
I was going to say that top part with the themes and the hotels sounds almost verbatim from the Epcot project.
And that's part of it. Walt mentions the foreign villages, the shopping and dining districts inside Epcot Center, the city. They're coming back to life in this project.
100 themed attractions, though. Oh my gosh.
That covers shows, that covers food, that covers retail, that covers a lot. So I don't want people to think there's going to be like 100 rides.
Right, but like the
not
park
100
maps don't even go up to 100, though, do they? We don't have a park map that numbers that high.
Yeah,
but they don't include restaurants, do they? As a
food and restaurants.
Well, for the numbers, they do.
It probably doesn't include restrooms.
No restrooms. There's no restrooms on the whole mountain. You just
although restrooms can be themed, right? The themed restrooms are themed.
Maybe.
We'll get there. So just hearing that, you guys have heard that much. What's going through everybody's mind so far?
Words I can't say on the radio.
My thought here is that so based on where this is located, you're going to walk into Epcot Center, and once you get past Spaceship Earth, this is going to be an enormous thing in the distance behind World Showcase.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's what I have a question on. Is we haven't touched on. I'm sure we're going to, but is Disney Mountain just a project name, or is it physically a mountain? Is it going to be a?
Oh, hold on.
I know we're going to get there. Never mind. Keep going.
Oh, I love this. I love withholding information from people.
I want to know
what Fab Five Mount Rushmore.
What the themed tower in the center of the mountain is.
That's the mountain. That's the high point of the mountain.
Yeah.
It looks from the picture almost like a space needle.
Yeah.
Jason, what can we show them? I think it's time to show some art. No, are we at that point? Oh yeah, let's do this. Jason, pull that up. Let's blow some people away.
Holy cow.
Oh, this is insane.
We got to put that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this is a side view of Disney Mountain.
That looks like the yacht club, or the right there.
Maybe.
Well, look, there's a little Ferris wheel over here.
Look at that. This is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Little Ferris wheel. This looks like these are the different levels. It looks like you can see all these levels. Maybe that's the parking garage. There's
It's in there, yeah.
There's your central tower.
Theme tower.
And you've got who knows what you got.
Those look like hotels.
Yeah, we're going to see an oversight. We're going to see an overall plan, but this is a good introduction.
Yeah, look at this. There we go.
But I mean, Epcot Center, have you ever seen there's a tower in the center of the original plans for the city? I mean, this is this is very much a nod to that in many ways. They've just sort of removed the roof.
Yep, these look like
from
hotels.
the rest of the city.
It looks like a Mediterranean town viewed from like the coast. Like off the water.
Yeah.
That's
You're on to something with that.
Yeah, because this is clearly water over here.
But I thought the Ferris wheel was kind of fun.
Yep.
And there's a reason for the Ferris wheel. Okay, so let me talk a little more while you guys look at that.
Original DCA, right? This is where they thought about it? Never mind. Sorry.
Is that the Maliboomer?
Does anyone see a giant orange filled with bees? The center of our project is a giant orange filled with bees. Anyway. These facilities have been designed for potential daily attendance of approximately 27,000 guests. That would be 80% of total hotel capacity, with a daily peak population of approximately 38,000.
So we are basically talking something roughly the size of what the current studios or Animal Kingdom can handle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that may more be a byproduct of the parking structure and not the actual size of the walkways in the project itself. I think that's based on the amount of parking spaces available in a lot of ways.
I mean, there were 6,250 hotel rooms, so if you figure double or maybe triple occupancy, that's still only half of the total. So a lot of this would have had to have been day guests that were coming in from elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. The development program is divided into two phases. Phase 1 consisting of approximately 2/3 of the total program, and Phase 2 contributing to the remaining third. I think you have a phase picture, Jason, in there somewhere. And now we're going to go over what the two phases for the project would have been. Phase 1 was to build 4,450 hotel rooms in 7 hotels, 5,350 car parking spaces, 150,000 square feet of themed food, entertainment, and merchandising, 140,000 square feet of central facilities, and the required infrastructure, roads, and lagoons and pools. Phase 2 would have been another 1,800 hotel rooms in 3 hotels, another 2,250 car parking spaces, 83,000 additional square feet of themed food, entertainment, and merchandising, the amphitheater, and as well 80,000 square feet of central facilities, and again, more infrastructure, roads, lagoons, and pools. Phase 1 would have, in theory, been completed by late 1990, Phase 2 in late 1991.
Wow.
I mean, the square footage doesn't, I mean, obviously that doesn't count the hotels, but I mean, that actually doesn't come out that big. It's just over 3 acres of themed, of the guest area. That's
I was going to
'Cause
say,
it's
how big
kind of
is
a
Disney
village.
Springs? Would that be bigger or smaller?
Well, I mean, 150,000 square feet, you can have like some big stores, like Super Walmart square footage is like 60,000, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just over 3 acres. I mean, that's how I have to.
Yeah. So you can think about 3 times the size of the biggest Walmart or Target that you've ever thought. But 3 times the size of 3 times the size of that isn't super enormous.
So you're saying this is Walmart? Okay.
I mean, if we're just looking at the hotels and counting everything added, we're probably like what the studio's expansion is right now for this whole thing.
I mean, you got to remember how much there's car parking in there, the hotel space. When we talk about the themed food, entertainment, and merchandising, that is literally just that stuff. That is that stuff, and you're going to see where that falls in here, and you'll understand more based on the location of those things, why it's not a ton of space, but it's definitely more than enough.
What is the central facility space? Like, is that just like walking paths, stuff like that?
That's necessities.
Yeah.
Utilities, things of that sort, things that they need, backstage areas, stuff like that.
Okay.
Let's talk about the estimated cost, shall we? I'm sure Disney's going to love me sharing this. The order of magnitude escalated development cost for the total project is estimated at $1,082,000,000.
What?
Yep.
When was this?
88 to 92.
Yeah. So this is an undertaking that actually is about on scale with Epcot Center.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's
right on the same scale as Epcot Center, which at the time Epcot Center was built was the largest construction project in the world. So this would have been number 2 probably.
Yep. It would represent a total investment of $1,200,000,000 in construction at the time. It's a lot. I mean, this is big, but you got to remember what Disney ended up spending on this land anyway, building a bunch of resorts, and then what they spent in other places we'll get to, basically building out ideas that were pushed out of this and into other projects. A lot of this project lives on, is what you're going to take away from this, and as we reveal more, that'll become really, really apparent. All right, now we have a section of the document called the concept. Disney Mountain, again, some of this is going to be repetitive, but I'm going to read it to you anyway. Disney Mountain is a combination of hotels, restaurant, and convention, entertainment, and merchandising facilities. The hilltop overlooking the surrounding terrain is visually approachable from all sides and is not dominated by automobiles. Automobiles are not going to be visible anywhere up on the mountain. More on that in a bit. The concept design. The first objective seeks to complement the primarily family-oriented activities at existing Walt Disney World facilities with entertainment and services that appeal largely to adults, either on vacation or on business or professional travel. So this project is going to try to be tailored to everybody, not just families, but this was a big thing with Eisner, is they wanted to push into this whole new business sector. They were looking at this business class. They wanted more convention space, more adult and business class clientele at Walt Disney World. They wanted, and again, Walt kind of envisioned that with Walt Disney World. He wanted convention space in this city and these factory type facilities and all these things. That's what Walt wanted. That was Walt's Epcot vision, and they're kind of getting back to that. And again, not that this was abandoned. I mean, we have a lot of convention center space at Walt Disney World today.
Yeah,
we actually had none at the time this came out, because
just a contemporary.
No, when was the Contemporary Convention Center built?
Well, the add-on, but there was always convention center space downstairs.
Right.
Remember the Nixon speech happened in the 70s.
Right. That's right. Yeah. There within the tower itself there was convention space.
Yeah,
right.
so that was the extent of convention space at Walt Disney World. That's why even the Grand Floridian opened with a convention center, which it never really needed, but they built it because that's what they were going for at the time. In contrast to its neighboring attractions, Disney Mountain will also have a strong appeal to the local and regional market and will have an intense nighttime use. The concept design wow. The concept design has its primary feature an island of dense development surrounded by a natural system of wetlands and open highlands. Such a design would preserve and enhance the existing environment. It should also result in a more visually exciting visitor destination than would be possible under a more conventional horizontal concept. So if they just built a bunch of hotels straight across between Epcot and the studios, which is what happened, sorry, they thought this seems much cooler. What if we build a mountain between Epcot and the studio tour? The built part of the site will be a 5-level structure, primarily comprising parking layered with hotels and attractions in 7 themed villages, each with a complement of services, business facilities, and entertainment. I am now going to go over what the 7 villages are. Jason, could you pull up? There's a piece of art that shows like where the villages are. Can we show that to people as I go through this? No, I think you just passed it. There we go. All right. Here we go. Here are the neighborhoods, the villages. Number 1, the Hollywood Hills, a hillside backdrop of historical Hollywood, visually consistent with the Disney MGM Studio Tour. The Mystic East Harbor, the exotic drama of the Orient and the Far East. Tropical Romance, the colorful and sensuous feelings of the South Sea Islands and South American tropics. The Neon Caverns, an imaginative and somewhat offbeat tour of surrealism and the future via a route burrowed into Disney Mountain. Fantastic Journeys, an adventure based on space and time travel. That's the tower in the middle. We almost had a space and time travel themed tower at Walt Disney World.
You would never be able to get in there. It would be booked so far in advance.
Hey, Ashley, there's the boardwalk, a nostalgic celebration of the classic waterfront carnival atmosphere. And last but not least, Hilltown. And what is that word? Archetypal, is that right?
Yeah.
An archetypal old world Hilltown, at once urban and rural, and visually related to Epcot's World Showcase because it would face Epcot's World Showcase. So again, Jason, pull up the art for a minute if we can. I want to talk about how cool this is. The area in front of Hollywood Studios was going to be
the Hollywood Hills.
The Hollywood Hills. How brilliant. How brilliant is this?
This is awesome.
Then,
oh my gosh.
Like over by Epcot, Hilltown, having these small villages themed to these different villages all around the world. Of course, the boardwalk, a very cool theme. Love the boardwalk. And then the tropical romance area. Mystic East, a theme we really don't have present in hotels or anything really at Walt Disney World. A little bit at Animal Kingdom, but not a ton. There's and the Neon Caverns, which sounds really, really neat. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot more information in here about it. I'm sorry to say that, but this is a flabbergasting project.
Could we assume that the romantic, where'd it go?
The tropical romance?
Did that become Caribbean Beach?
It's more than likely. That's why I don't think Caribbean Beach was approved yet. But see, the thing is, if you pre-designed a whole bunch of stuff into this project, it's probably real easy to be like, hey, we're going to go with that cheaper horizontal plan and then just sort of slide everything over and, do it that way. Yeah.
Gosh, the Mystical Caverns, like, I feel like if we had this right now, we would be talking about that being, getting a Gravity Falls overlay right now. Because that just sounds
Gravity Falls is over, though, so I doubt it.
But that just sounds so incredibly cool. Like I've been in a few caves before, and that seeing Disney do that,
a tour of surrealism and the future.
Oh my gosh!
So that was,
and it looks like that would have led into the tower.
These all have wonderful creative names, and then there's Hilltown. No one like Hilltown feels like the all-star in this whole ordeal. Where are you guys staying? Hilltown? Oh.
It's funny you say that because I think there's a bus stop pizza loop in one of the illustrations. So, all right. Yeah, so I mean that plan is just it's ridiculous. All right, let's talk about project feasibility. Like the other imaginative elements of Walt Disney World, the construction of Disney Mountain will not be conventional. There are a few precedents for multi-purpose megastructure of such dimensions. Therefore, in order to estimate the magnitude of the effort and costs of implementing such a project, a conceptual plan and program for Disney Mountain has been prepared, including physical depictions of the facility and a detailed account of the individual elements. Further, specific hotel layouts were prepared to test the feasibility of the concept. The report presents that plan, the resulting estimate, and preliminary conclusions regarding the project's feasibility. Of the approximately 300 acres that can be developed, the Disney Mountain site plus associated lagoons will take up roughly 130 acres. Of this, approximately 50 acres are for the mountain footprint, 25 for the beach area, and 55 for the surrounding lagoons and water. Jason, don't show me. Show them that art. Show them that art. They want to see that. Just blow that up on there. Keep that up there for them.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
So you could walk basically from Epcot to Hollywood Studios through this area
Mm-hmm.
instead of the boring area we have for that walk
So
now.
all the way on the left, that is the MGM Studio Tour. Look, the Hidden Mickey was there already. Early planned in '86. The Hidden Mickey's already there.
Be amazing. Look at
This
that.
is where Eric would have been running this morning and yesterday.
This is so. I love this piece of art so much. This is so cool. I love the lagoons around the center tower too. I think that would have been so beautiful. A lot of this art comes back for Westcott. Westcott adopts a lot of this in the site plan for the expansion of the Disneyland Resort. Obviously, again, they went cheap that direction too. Much cheaper than they went at Walt Disney World, sadly. But so much of this plan reminds me of Westcott, the expansion project.
So we'd have like this Hollywood Hills, this like Hollywood Bowl amphitheater right outside.
This is the Hollywood Hills Amphitheater.
That is the Hollywood Hills Amphitheater.
Oh my God.
4,000 seats. That's about the same size.
Yeah.
So I mean, essentially, maybe that's where Fantasmic would have landed. Because I mean, that's what they borrowed.
They could have sold tickets to it or added that as part of the park. Yeah.
Is that a capsized boat?
I was just going to ask the same thing.
Right here?
I think it's a boat that fell on its side.
Oh, this one. I see.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Up top.
That was the Orient, so yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I did a construction cost inflation calculator.
Oh my
The cost
God.
for this today would be about $2.5 billion, given those numbers.
About right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Look at how amazing this is with the cars going directly into a tunnel.
And then they're gone.
Yep, and from both sides.
Yep. And from everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you've got, this looks amazingly like the Caribbean Beach Resort right here with these little square buildings on a beach. And that looks exactly like the Caribbean Beach from above.
Is that where it would be? It's about where it'd be, right? Yeah.
It's about where it is. Yeah. Yep.
I'm thoroughly enjoying just watching all of you comb through this artwork. This is fun. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to continue. Where was I? Let's see. The remainder of the developable acreage is devoted to Studio Tour to the south and the potential future development site to the north. In addition to the site preparation for the mountain and surrounding environmental management programs, major construction work items will include the transportation infrastructure to provide access to the mountain itself and between all the major activities of Walt Disney World. We're going to get into transportation now. Transportation programs would be as follows. Access from outside of Walt Disney World to Disney Mountain would be facilitated by changes already programmed to relieve traffic along World Drive. Planned was a redesign of Epcot Center Drive and the interchange at World Drive. Internal Disney World access. The project would be accessible via foot.
Tom got muted, right?
Yeah, Tom got muted. Yeah.
That's something that Nick did. Nick, you muted Tom.
Oops.
This always happens when Nick is typing on the computer.
Oh gosh.
Nick, you
Nick
muted
is still
Tom.
there.
Hey, both are just staring into oblivion, looks like.
Uh-huh.
Where'd it go?
Oh, hang on. Sorry, that's my bad. I'm trying to type to Nick.
So you type to Nick, and we'll all just look at this.
Yeah,
Yep.
really.
This is the most ridiculous thing. There looks like there's like what becomes Caribbean Beach, or what we think becomes Caribbean Beach. Like there's also looks like to be a walkway, like a walk bridge.
Yeah, right here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat that it's a little walk bridge across the water.
Yeah.
What I don't see, so Epcot would be over on the right side of this picture.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
don't see a walking. I mean, you've got this walking path that kind of goes around the water. Maybe that's a road, but I
That
don't
looks
see
like
a
a road.
walking path.
Yeah.
I don't see a walking path from Epcot directly into
Yeah.
the interior of this
Maybe
project.
they were planning something like the friendship boat.
Is that
From
No, you
over
can see
here?
the boats.
Ah,
Yeah.
that could be.
Is that
what were you thinking?
cantilevered bridge maybe just a walking area, and the cars just kind of S through under? That's not a.
That
might
could
not
be.
That
Yeah.
might not be a road bridge.
This might not be, but it's kind of coming from the wrong direction. Like, I don't know. This is clearly an access road that doesn't exist right now.
So down here
Unless this is World Drive, but there's
In
no
the-
exit. So this is an
in
access
the bottom
road
right
that's coming.
corner, is this the canal that would this be the canal that goes to Epcot now?
This could connect to
Because that's what
Crescent
I'm
Lake.
saying.
Yeah,
It could be some kind of boat system that they were planning.
yeah. It does look
Like the
like
friendship
that's
boats.
possible.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey!
Sorry about that. Slight technical problems, but it sounds like you guys were still having fun.
Oh yeah.
So Tom, here's
Yeah.
one of the questions we had.
Okay.
Where Epcot is to the right in this picture. Where's pedestrian access from Epcot? Or is this a friendship boat coming
He's
from
muted
Epcot?
again. He's muted again.
Ah,
Am I muted?
No,
you're fine.
Okay, that was
Oh.
weird. It said you were.
Yeah, his picture's muted. He's coming in through a different picture.
Okay, got it.
You have this turned a funny way. So the north is to the right.
Yes. Yep, the north
That's
is over
Epcot.
here.
See that road
This road?
down the bottom one?
Yeah, that's what I was
yeah.
thinking.
That's coming from Epcot. This is off to the side. This isn't quite International Gateway. This is off to the side.
Yeah.
Right. Is this World Drive at the top here? Or is that just another access road?
That's just another access road. That's not World.
Okay. So this is a road that comes from Epcot, but where's the walkway that comes from Epcot?
Probably on the side there.
On the side of this road here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh, you can see
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at all
Yeah.
those little buildings
Uh-huh.
along. This would be the little wall. Yep, this would be the pedestrian angle.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I see. Very good. All
Okay.
right.
So let's talk a little more. Where did I cut off?
I don't remember.
I talked about World Drive being changed. Let's talk about the
Yes.
internal access. Yeah.
Yeah.
Accessible via foot, car, bus, with monorail or boat being an optional development.
Oh.
Yep. Monorail or boat. As we know, the boat system came to be. The friendship boats came into existence and were expanded into that Crescent Lake Resort area. So that did happen. So fun to see that. The early stages of that plan. As well, an internal road system would give access to the hotels and parking structures inside. The idea was to access the hotels and the parking structure, you are traveling through the inside of the mountain. That would not be visible to guests visiting the mountain or from outside. That's a big, ambitious plan to just eliminate the view of cars, the view of
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
Yeah.
mhm.
Let's see here. The Disney Mountain substructure is a unique element of the mountain. Conceived initially as a megastructure constructed in the image of a terraced mountain, it will be designed to accommodate multi-level parking, utilities, most of the back-of-house functions, and certain elements of the visitor attractions themselves. They're comprised of 5 levels. We're going to talk about the levels of the mountain now. Level 1, the first level consists of the waterfront recreation and entertainment facilities, the back-of-house activities for the amphitheater, central services, convention center services, service circulation and access roads, and parking for cars. So car parking is coming in to level 1. Also at that level, you're at the water. There'll be all sorts of watercraft and recreational type things you can do. A big part of Walt Disney World. Surrounding level 1 is a water body comprised of 3 lagoons. The larger lagoon, which is part of the aquifer recharge system, is for boating activities of various types. The smaller lagoon between the dams supporting the service access roads on the east side is the quote-unquote clean water swimming area with beaches. Clean water swimming area with beaches.
So that would be separate water then.
Typhoon Lagoon.
Yep. There you go.
Mm.
The pedestrian-only bridge from the amphitheater to studio tour is on access with the entrance to the studio tour. Yep. The hotels which ring the podium extend upward from this level. There are 10 nodes of vertical circulation related to each of the 10 hotels. Yep. In addition, all employees will enter the island at this level by bus from the off-site employee parking lot. That's level 1. We have 4 more levels to go.
Jason, can you go back? There was an image that actually showed you Epcot in there. Can we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one.
Is that the one?
There you go.
Yep. So what is this? There's Epcot Center.
I love that future parcel.
Parcel.
That's not even part of this. I don't even know where to begin with that.
That's isn't that where the solar array is right now?
Yeah, no. I thought that was a little north of there.
No, that's there. That's exactly what it is. That's right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you can see them here. Yeah. You can see the monorail.
That's World Drive.
This is World Drive on the left. Yep. So this north is up. This is World Drive. There's Epcot Center Drive.
Oh yeah.
There's the monorail coming in to Epcot.
Yep.
Right there. This
the
is
mountain would have been visible from World Drive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because the mountains.
It would be like right there.
Yeah.
Maybe a
Isn't
little
this
bit
where
south.
it is? Yeah.
But that's what makes it so much like the Epcot, the city project with the main road going right through the middle.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are those arrows coming out of the kind of lumpy bits there?
Well, one says study area, preliminary development area, and then total area. So I think that's just where they were planning to put it.
No, I mean like inside of it though. They're like these arrows that like point out towards Epcot Center, and then one that points out the other way.
Could those be wetland? Those could be wetland relocation.
Yep,
absolutely. Well, this is clearly the canal to Crescent Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're moving these wetlands to build a project, this would be the connection to Crescent Lake.
Right. Okay.
So then if we go back to this picture, this is the connection to Crescent Lake, and this is the pedestrian walkway
along the side.
Along that side, yep.
Got it. Okay.
If you could zoom in real quick, though, I think they actually drew an arrow out of water coming out of the main lagoon in Epcot there.
Yeah, that's International Gateway right there.
So that implies that was going to have a waterway connection coming into this.
It certainly could have.
I mean, they built it anyway. I mean, it exists. I mean, so a lot of this lived on. Like they still went through with a fair amount of stuff from this. It just got rethought in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole primary development parcel of Disney Mountain. I'm curious what this thing is here. This circular thing.
I think that's some wetland that they weren't touching.
Probably or existing water, like a lake that doesn't count. As
oh, that's this lake right here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that is it. Look at that. There it is. Okay. Wow. Here's some more.
By the way, we just got the review of Rivers of Light from the person there. Rivers of Light is literally, technically, the best show we've seen Disney do at Walt Disney World. It's a shame the show never has a wow moment.
Oh.
Oh. Sad day.
Anyway, let's talk more about this amazing thing that didn't happen either.
This graphic, look, this is the reconfigured World Drive here, and the exit to Disney Mountain, and then this is
future parcel exit.
Yeah,
the future parcel exit. So here's the totally reconfigured interchange with the Epcot Center Drive. Here's the backstage of Epcot, kind of connecting in to the infrastructure of Disney Mountain, so that there could be shared services and whatnot.
This is so good.
And it shows you right here. Look, visitor traffic from Interstate 4.
Talking to you, Nick.
I was going to say Buena Vista
Drive, primarily for services and employee access, separate from visitor traffic. Yeah, because visitors do not want to drive on Buena Vista Drive. Sure don't.
No.
And for reference, this area up here that looks like some wet water area, this is Old Key West Resort right here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So it even looks like a golf course with some ponds at this point.
There you go.
Yeah, it does.
The scope of this thing is ungodly. It's amazing. How much work would have went into this, which is still a lot of work that they still went through within that time period, which is
that's
sad.
Oh, that's a map.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's a really nice map of the new World Drive. So it looks like World Drive.
But that MGM parking lot's still in that bad place.
Yeah. Yeah, because here's the studio tour right there.
There's the parking lot right next to it. Yeah.
Yep.
Still off to the side.
The parking lot over there.
It is such a phenomenal plan.
Gosh, can you just imagine how cool it would be to walk this walk going from Epcot to Studios and back?
I think about how cool I thought it was to walk between Epcot and Studios now.
Yeah,
and
but
it's nothing compared to this.
This is the walkway. There's the boat. There's the water connection from Epcot to Disney Mountain. It's shown right here, and here's the pedestrian connection is right there too.
Is that a water bridge?
This?
Yeah. It's just the waterway.
Yeah, I think
No, it could be because there is a water bridge at this location right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like a road that goes under it.
The road goes under. That's
oh my god. That's it right there.
That would be so cool to see.
No, it's still
it's there.
That's a thing.
That's an actual thing that you can ride.
Built it.
Yeah.
Right, can guests get on that?
No, Ben.
It goes under the waterway. There's a tunnel.
This blue line here, although it's water, isn't
Epcot
actually
Resorts
water.
Boulevard.
Oh,
yeah. This is the service road around the back of Epcot, and it goes under a water bridge, right parallel with Epcot Resorts Boulevard going under.
That is International Gateway. That all exists.
This is International Gateway. So if you look at it, the Beach Club is right about here.
Okay,
the Yacht Club is over here. This is the Crescent Lake. Basically, the upper half of this Disney Mountain site is Crescent Lake. The boardwalk is down here, and then the walkway to Studios is down here. So this waterway, this water canal, this water bridge, and then this part of the water exists as Crescent Lake right now.
I don't mean to ruin everyone's incredible fun. Could I continue with the document?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I love that I get through a paragraph and you guys then dissect it for an hour. It's fun. All right, level 2. Nick is I'm never getting to bed.
There's the different levels.
Hurry up. Level 2. The second level consists of hotel and convention center lobbies, the Aquacade pool, the shell and first tier of the amphitheater, guest auto access and parking for cars. There are 2 nodes of exterior vertical transportation here, one at each end of the island for general public circulation to the podium level. A number of themed attractions are located near the convention center lobby at the north end of the island. Others are located around the Aquacade pool and the amphitheater at the south end of the island. That's level 2.
I just got one question. How did we get from level 1 to level 2 without fighting the boss?
Wow. All right. Level 3. The third level consists of the main floor of the convention center, the middle tier of the amphitheater, the pool, themed attractions at the north end of the island around the convention center, and parking for cars. Access to the theme tower begins at this level. It is at this level that the north and south masses of the island separate into 2 distinct areas. So this is really neat. The mountain raises at 2 points. It's almost like two mountains, in fact. So the middle is sunken in, but those two ends are going upward at this point.
Right.
So there's a cavern in the middle.
So this middle area would all be water, but there's actually infrastructure under it.
Yep. There sure is.
So you can look at this. It's all one in the surface level. The first level is all infrastructure, but then as you go up, it starts to separate. Here's the tower in the middle.
Yeah.
And then this would be water around that island that contains the tower, but below it is infrastructure.
Level 4. The fourth level consists of the upper level of the convention center, internal themed attractions, and car parking. This upper level of the conference center looks out over the pool to the themed rock. I want to set this up for you because we don't have art of it. So again, the top level of the convention center has big windows. You're looking at the pool. On the other side of the pool is the rock island and that tower. This view would have been amazing. Could you imagine? Really, really neat. The third tier of the amphitheater, and a less exciting fact, is also on this level. But that description of that view is amazing. Level 5 is the podium level. It consists of the Hollywood Hotel and the
Oh gosh!
Oh my god! I quit.
The Hollywood Hotel and Amphitheater. I told you all this was going to be amazing. I warned you. The Hollywood Hotel and Amphitheater, the upper level plaza, the Hilltown Main Street and its themed attractions. The themed tower, Rock Island, and the North and South Hills are connected by pedestrian bridges at this level. So going over these wide gaps are pedestrian bridges to take you to these other locations. Other hotels, in addition to the Hollywood Hotel, extend above this level, creating the image of country inns woven into the texture and fabric of the hilltop.
Good old Hilltown.
The hotels are totally integrated into the mountain substructure, and guest rooms are on all levels. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That Hollywood Hotel is everything I ever wanted. Everything I ever wanted. Anyway.
I mean, they keep talking about attractions and the Hollywood Hotel. My mind is so racing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's talk about circulation within the Disney Mountain substructure. The following circulation and parking programs have been developed. Visitor auto access will enter Disney Mountain at level 2 via 3 land entry bridges. Imaginative signage will separate traffic by destination. Once within the structure, traffic will slow to 15 to 20 miles per hour. Good luck with that. And enter a 3-lane, one-way interior loop collector road. Valet parking and a segregation of arrivals and departures were planned at each hotel. This is Epcot the city, if I've ever heard it.
No
Think
kidding.
about this road system inside with arrivals and departures for hotels, keeping them completely separate. Traffic doesn't have to go both ways. There doesn't have to be that whole mess of people who's checking in, whose bags are being thrown in the car. All of that becomes a thing of the past.
So it sounds like
plan.
complimentary valet if you're staying. Well, maybe not complimentary. Well, no, it almost has
Quite
to be.
possibly, yeah.
Well, if
Yeah,
it was,
says
it
valet
wouldn't be
parking.
anymore by now. Bob Chapek would have saw to that. So don't worry about it. Buses, shuttles, employee vehicles, and service trucks would enter the mountain at level 1, completely out of the way, not interfering with any pedestrian vehicle or pedestrians or guest vehicles. There would also be an internal shuttle system within the entire mountain. So there would be some sort of bus or something running through those internal roadways. If you had to get to another hotel, you didn't want to walk or whatever. Internal shuttle service, which happened at the larger resorts, Coronado and Caribbean Beach, was a plan. Here's the fun one. At the 4th level, some type of horizontal elevator or people mover system could be installed for rapid transportation.
Look at that. Personal rapid transit. We talked about this on Friday night.
I was going to say, yeah.
How did you talk? You love that plan.
We
You always
talked
talk
about personal rapid transit.
I thought it was Saturday morning.
Maybe it was Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday morning.
You go
And it all kind of ran.
in depth. The people mover Back to the Future. You will go super in depth on that.
Yep.
People
But
should
there
look
it
that
is.
up. It's really phenomenal.
There once again is the personal rapid transit or people mover system
Yeah.
between hilltop neighborhoods.
So it would have been up at the top.
But I mean, yeah, even still though, that's again almost verbatim Epcot plan, because that was part of the plan
Absolutely.
for moving,
Sure was.
Absolutely.
having people
Yeah.
commute to work. Was that in the monorail?
We almost still had Epcot. Yeah. Story of our lives.
You know,
Now it's going to be more Disney, more family friendly, more relevant, and more IPs than ever before. Can't wait.
one
All right,
thing I'm getting just looking at this is so that at this point they had already ever killed the idea of that Epcot expansion going to that second figure 8.
No, they did not.
Mm-mm.
That idea was alive and well right here.
Well, no, I mean, like they said they were going to put the second half of World Showcase, but they're saying they're going to put to the south of Epcot a lot of this infrastructure.
I think this was the first time they had stepped away from that. I think those turned into they looked at how to make profit off of those plans. You're going to see some of the hotel themes. Some of those I think were themes they were looking at for new pavilions. I think they were.
Yeah.
So
They basically said, let's turn those pavilions into hotels, and that's where we're going to go with that shortly.
Yep.
All right, parking. Total parking accommodations for Disney Mountain will be 7,600 cars. Overflow parking would be located at the Disney MGM Studio Tour. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, they thought that would work.
They have overflow parking, but it's not overflow parking for studios. It's overflow parking at studios.
You ready? You ready for this? You know where overflow parking for studios is? Epcot. Anyway, parking for 4,000 employee vehicles would be located off-site near Epcot. The Disney Mountain parking structure would have computerized signage and an auto counting system, which we haven't seen until now. Disney Springs. Yeah. This is 1986.
Oh.
Okay. Let's talk about those hotels, shall we?
Yes, please.
10 hotels ranging from luxury to business class. Other facilities, 100 themed attractions. We've talked about this. We got the theme tower, we got the convention center, and we got the amphitheater. Let's start with the hotels.
Ranging from luxury to convention and business. So this does not include the All-Stars.
Nope, sure doesn't. They were still not thinking about value. Not even they really didn't, because they didn't build a value resort till the mid-90s.
Well, technically they opened Caribbean Beach as a value.
Yeah, Caribbean Beach was a value when it opened.
Yeah.
But
that was right after this.
There would have been something in that moderate or value class out of these 10 hotels. There would have certainly been some. All right, so here are the hotels. Hollywood, themed to Hollywood nostalgia. This luxury hotel complements the studio tour. It surrounds the Hollywood Bowl Theater on 3 sides, with many rooms feature viewing of the venue.
What? I mean, we didn't see something like that until Skydome was built, really, when you think about it.
You're absolutely right.
That's crazy. Oh, man.
Oh, can you think about that, though? Like, do you want to go out to the park tonight? No, I'm just going to stay in the room and watch Fantasmic.
Or maybe they would have real concerts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It
Or
surrounds
both.
the Hollywood
Think
Bowl
about
on
this.
3
Pleasure
sides.
Island. Pleasure Island doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
All of Pleasure Island exists somewhere within this. So this would have been Pleasure Island on steroids in a lot of ways, this whole thing.
Oh, the Adventures Club had to have been in the cavern somewhere.
I guarantee you it's in these plans. All of that had to be in this plan in 86. It's all there somewhere.
The intense nighttime entertainment.
Yeah. No, it's here somewhere.
Right now, the intense nighttime entertainment is in Tomorrowland for $650.
I thought it was Atlantic Dance Hall. It's all right, everybody. We got Atlantic Dance Hall. All right, the next hotel is the international hotels. The 4 international hotels will each have a specific country theme. They complement Epcot Center. They would be structured to form part of the mountaintop street scene. These are family-oriented hotels. That would have been more your value.
Yep.
Yeah.
Convention. The convention hotels will provide accommodations suitable for conventioneers. They will form the base of Disney Mountain, because the convention center's down there. The upper floors would extend into the mountaintop villages and be designed to enhance the village themes. Business. These hotels have added amenities such as communications, conference rooms, and secretarial assistance. They will contain or be or be close to the first-class restaurant. So already Eisner is in and saying, let's do more world-class dining. That's already a thing they're thinking about with this project. I love this line. This line, man. Hotels could be managed as leasable space as an alternative to operation by the Walt Disney Company.
There's your Swan and Dolphin.
What do you think happened there?
There's your Swan and Dolphin right there.
Swan and Dolphin.
Well, they would definitely have had to have been in the pre-lawsuit with I forget the name of the company at the time that built those hotels and put them to Starwood eventually. Yep. But so they knew they had to do that when they were designing this.
They were not ready to manage another 10 hotels, I don't think. They didn't think at the time they could. And meanwhile, look how well they did. And I think every day they kick themselves about the Swan and Dolphin.
I can see that.
Patrick, you sound in pain overall.
I'm flabbergasted.
The Swan and Dolphin pains me.
It does. It pains me
pain
too.
Mhm.
They're just hideous.
Poor Michael Graves is rolling over in his graves.
God, we make so many puns. They hurt me too.
Let's talk about the themed attractions. I sadly do not have a whole lot of information. There's nothing in here on these. I don't think they were thought out very much.
No, this was probably just space dedicated and set aside for attractions.
Yeah.
And they would have came up with those later.
Themed attractions. 3 types of themed attractions will be present: entertainment, food, and merchandise. They can be inside or outside of the mountain. The convention center can accommodate between 5,000 and 10,000 guests. It would have a giant ballroom and banquet hall on the top floor. So that top floor that looks out over the pool at that tower was a ballroom. They were going to have a ballroom up there.
That's where our 10th anniversary show would have been.
You're damn right.
Right there.
Almost like it's on top of the world.
Which actually existed before this.
No, that's true, yeah.
So again, in recap, the original plan, phase 1, late 1990, 4,450 hotel rooms, 7 hotels, 5,350 car parking, 150,000 square feet of food, entertainment, and merchandise, 140,000 square feet of facilities. Jason, give them another image to look at. Let's look at some more art. We have it. And the required roads, lagoons, and pools. Phase 2, late 1991, another 1,800 rooms, 3 hotels, 2,250 car parking, 83,000 more square feet of themed food, entertainment, and merchandise, the amphitheater, the 80,000 square feet of internal facilities, and more roads, lagoons, and pools.
So look at these statistics right here. They were projecting attendance for daytime and nighttime.
Yep.
This is exactly downtown Disney and Pleasure Island.
Yeah. They eventually just slid it over. It was going to be the nightlife center of Walt Disney World.
Yeah, with hotels right there so that you could get drunk and then head right back to your room, Patrick.
Yeah.
Could you go back to the page you were on with the attraction information on there? Because there was a little blurb in there that I thought was worth looking at.
Was it the festivals?
Yeah, the festivals. That seems like that might have been incorporated into Epcot a bit there.
Yeah.
But traditional.
No. So there would be 3 styles to entertainment, and it's just 3 themes that the buildings and such would fit into. Traditional or pure, theatrical or show, and festival. Again, things that would kind of tie together the tops of the different hotels and villages at the top of the mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, this makes sense in context. This is us putting on a show, and this is people having a party. Kind of okay.
Yep.
So all your attractions would have to fit into one of those 3 themed groups to. Okay.
Yep. There you go. I didn't even get into utilities, Jason. I figured that would bore people to death.
This is the best part. Look at this.
Jason, I will let you take it. I know you love this stuff. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. Water underground system, yada, yada, yada. Booster pump stations. That's fine potable water. Roof ponds.
Huh.
I guess the roof ponds must be the things like surrounding that center island that are not that have infrastructure underneath them, I guess. And the East Side Clean Water Lagoon. Power will be distributed from a studio tour substation by an underground duct bank across the Disney Mountain Bridge to the site. All right.
So no power
so-
lines. It would all be underground, much like it is
Underground
now.
power,
Yeah.
which is exactly how almost all of Walt Disney World is now. Yep.
Yeah.
Underground gravity sewers to the RCID pump station. So this is really tied in with Studio Tour because they're connecting the sewers from Studio Tour and Disney Mountain. Stormwater runoff released into the lagoons. That's exactly how Epcot Center works. Solid waste management will be collected by Reedy Creek Utilities Company with roll-off and front-end loader equipment, dumpster station. So that's not very imaginative at all.
Actually, one thing that I'm kind of interested in is, given that it's such a more concentrated area, that they weren't using that AVAC system for the solid waste management.
Absolutely. That's very true. But my guess is that probably a lot of this would have been in this infrastructure portion where you could have taken a roll-off dumpster, down through inside the mountain and then down through the first level and out. Was probably, the AVAC system is phenomenal, and we could talk about the AVAC system for a while. But I think the AVAC system, I think they knew pretty early on after construction of the Magic Kingdom that the AVAC system just wasn't too practical. It would be nice, yeah, certainly, but I think it's kind of more hassle than it's worth as far as that goes for the Magic Kingdom. That being said, they still use it, so.
I thought, I figured since this is more concentrated, it would make more sense.
It would. It would make much more sense here than at the Magic Kingdom, but I think they were probably just annoyed with it already at the Magic Kingdom. But here talks about the Disney Mountain concept with its density and concentrated development will allow opportunities for innovative utility provision. Some examples include photovoltaic landscape lighting. Photovoltaic landscape lighting is solar. So here it is in 1986. They've got solar landscape lighting, waterfall cooling towers, ice storage for an air conditioning system. So this ice storage, so this is a pretty innovative air conditioning system where the air is not cooled by a compressor like in typical air conditioners. But what you do is at night, when electricity is low demand, you make ice. And then during the day, you blow air across the ice to get your air conditioning. That's not just a concept from Carousel of Progress. That's an actual air conditioning system that exists and is technologically feasible and is designed to take advantage of lower peak utility demand at night.
Well, so I'm loving the last part of this, though.
Yeah.
Something that Europe uses, I think the cruise line uses, but we don't really see at domestic hotels that often. Is the occupancy controlled lighting and things like that.
Yeah. So smart hotels, energy conserving room lighting, and climate controlled key to room occupancy. So the climate control key to room occupancy does exist at most Disney resorts now. The thermostat that's in most Disney resort rooms does have an occupancy sensor built in, so that when you're not there, like in the middle of the day, it will not turn on the air conditioner. It will not keep you can set your room to be 60.
And it's always blistering in there.
Yeah, so you could set your room to be 60 degrees, and when you get back from Magic Kingdom in the afternoon and it's 100 degrees outside, your room will not be 60 degrees, even though that's what you set the thermostat for. And that's because it's based on occupancy, and if the occupancy sensor doesn't see anyone in the room, then it turns off the air conditioner. But yeah, you're right. The cruise lines definitely do that with lighting as well, although that's fairly easily bypassed. But I think at least nowadays, with the advent of LED lighting, it's almost not a big deal anymore.
I mean, the first time I saw the room key to turn on the lights was a couple years ago on my honeymoon in Europe. And I saw it for the first time at a hotel, like a little kind of not a bed and breakfast, but like a little independent hotel in Western Massachusetts that had it recently. That's the only time I've seen it domestically.
Yeah, but it's definitely, I mean, it's on the Disney cruise line. It's on other cruise lines as well. It's pretty common, I think, in the cruise industry. But yeah, no, I've not seen it in land-based hotels at all. All right, so Tom, we're going back to the scheduling and phasing. Tom, you want to go back now that we've gotten through the boring part?
I already talked about the phases. I've mentioned that twice now.
Did we have anywhere in here like how many feet above sea level, like how high this is?
That's in here. I
Is
think.
that okay?
I didn't see that.
But look at this. This is pretty neat phasing criteria. Minimization of disruption to guests of phase 1 while phase 2 is built. Minimize infrastructure costs for phase 2 because it was built during phase 1. This is awesome. Maximization of guest perception that phase 1 is a complete piece by shrouding views of phase 2 construction and prep areas and orienting site development to the northeast and northwest.
So this is the exact opposite of New Fantasyland.
Yeah.
Let's not do the middle.
Except for the New Fantasyland is the northeast of the Magic Kingdom, but otherwise, yes, it's the exact opposite.
I would like to casually point out that the last bullet in this list is different from all the others.
Yeah, look at this is the bullet that they could get rid of if they had to.
There is a ton of spelling errors.
I saw usability. Ability was a word that was in these paragraphs.
A ton of them. I have a program that lifts text out and pastes it, which I use to write a lot of this. It picked up so many spelling errors, and I went back and looked to see if it was the program doing it. It's not. They're in there. Again, you remember, this is not. No one had Microsoft Word. This is, way back.
So here's where we are with pre-feasibility in 1986.
Yep.
Master planning and schematics. We're going to be next, right after this pre-feasibility study. Then construction would have started in 87, and phase 1 would have opened in late 1990. But look, here's shows and rides.
Way down there.
So shows and rides would have started in 88.
Again, by rides, remember we see the Ferris wheel. Don't expect like big attractions. The boardwalk probably would have had a couple of things.
The tower.
Yeah.
And the tower would have been a ride. But you can see that doesn't come until later into
the tower was a ride?
They said it was.
They said it was.
Yeah.
It was
Where did it say it was a ride?
It was in some sort of show or something.
It's something. We don't know what. I would love to know what's in that tower, but we have no idea.
So
I choose to believe it's a ride.
Here, fantastic journeys.
Epcot related.
An adventure based on space and time travel.
Yeah, but that's the rooms.
That's the theme, of the room.
Oh, that's not a hotel.
There's no hotel there.
No.
The hotels are all.
No, it's not a hotel.
No,
okay.
That's just the theme of the area.
It's an adventure. We don't know what kind of adventure it is.
We don't know what it would be. I wouldn't be surprised if that became the space pavilion that was developed, not Mission Space. Before that, there was a far bigger plan for a space pavilion, which, by the way, gets approved in 1990 with Delta sponsorship, which is right around this time. So, Journeys in Space is very much likely what that was, but we don't really know.
You know what this is? This is the 90s and beyond development of Vegas.
Yeah.
This is the phase 2 of like the newer Vegas. This is everything that came out of that.
Yeah.
So here's elevations of
we never get actual
levels.
Numbers though.
No, but you can look at, so this is ground, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of parking.
The tower still would have been way above
7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so this is all, but this is, you can see the 5 levels of parking all integrated under here. This would have been some water on top of the parking to separate the 2 hills.
So could we say that would be as high as a 5-story parking garage, you think?
I'm seeing the buildings are about 12, 13 stories.
These are 12, 13. Yeah. If you look at this, so that's 4 or 5 stories of parking, and then you've got another 7 or 8 stories on top for some of the tallest buildings.
So aside from the tower, at least they're still trying to keep it under that height limit.
Yeah. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Look,
7,
a water
8,
tower.
10. Yeah, 11 stories. 11 stories of height. 11-story building. So certainly not as tall as the Swan and Dolphin.
Can we talk about the top of the Hollywood Hotel that looks just like the top of Keystone?
Is that on here?
Section A. Go up to Section A. That what looks like a graph all the way on the left is the Hollywood Bowl. So looking out into the
Yeah.
bowl is the Hollywood Hotel. The roof
The hotel rooms
looks just like that corner Keystone building on Hollywood Boulevard, and I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
right there.
So in all the years and all the talks that you've had with people involved, no one's ever slipped a word about this.
I don't know who worked on it.
I don't.
Yeah, there's no names.
And unfortunately, I can't even give you the story behind where the book comes from, but I assure you it doesn't resolve the mystery. It doesn't even it's such a weird place. It's out of nowhere, and it gives you nothing of any inkling to who worked on this, how far it got. We know nothing. We know that. My hope is someone who's no longer with the company who worked on this will come out of the woodwork now that we've put this out there. I don't think the Disney company would really care that this is out there now. This isn't ruining any current plans. This is all things that came to fruition otherwise anyway.
It's all historical.
In different formats. But
I'm getting this weird feeling that this was like a few guys who knew that like their jobs are ending after Epcot was done, or they got moved over to this studios project. I knew something was going, and this is just guys like, hey, we've got this great idea. Try this.
Well, I think it's kind of the Chapek thing. They said we need to develop the space between these two parks. We want convention space. We want hotels. We want nightlife here. And these guys said, "What if we put it all in one thing?"
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, and in the end, these guys all probably still had a job because all of this stuff went forward just in different places.
But you can tell they were definitely dreaming big.
And again, this is that era. These people just came out of Epcot Center. They pulled off the biggest construction project in the world.
Yeah.
Why did they not think? And again, there's still that feeling in the company that Walt's dream wasn't finished, that why they built the Epcot Park, there's still more to be done. And there's plenty of documentation that even though they were building Epcot Center, the park, there was still a lot of those older guys who said, hey, we still got to do that at some point.
Yeah.
And this was a big way.
That's why Epcot Center was called Epcot Center, because it was not the entire project.
Yeah.
Right.
But here's a phasing diagram.
All of Walt Disney World was Epcot. Epcot Center was the center of Epcot.
Let's not get into the song, please.
And here's
it starts
like
never mind. I'm not going to do the Danny Kaye number.
Do what?
Oh, jeez. It looks like the Hollywood Bowl Amphitheater was part of Phase 2.
It said we said that. It's in the Phase 2 section.
The diagram.
Because I don't think even though MGM would have been done, obviously Epcot was already open and functioning at the point. Why not start on that end?
Right.
Also, how hard is it to build a Hollywood Bowl? That would probably be the cheapest part of the project.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they wanted Phase 2 not to impact Phase 1, so
yeah,
that would have just been some vertical construction for a couple of weeks and been done.
Yeah. That Hollywood Hotel idea is still getting kicked around, man. The California Coast Resort, which had some documentation leak a couple of years ago, we posted about it. It's still getting kicked around, and maybe someday it's going to see the light of day. But
now, do you think, knowing what we know now, like 30 years later, and how sprawled out, things
should have
are?
happened.
What do you mean it should have happened?
This solves so many of the problems of Walt Disney World.
So it's a good thing that it concentrates everything.
Look at the amount of road work at Walt Disney World right now. That is
ridiculous.
because they built all this stuff sprawling out, and then attendance grew because of it. And now, like, all of those roads are overburdened. There was no like clear. It was like, put this over here and this goes over here. Oh, Key West, throw it over there. And then suddenly they're like, oh, these road systems don't work. And all we did was build a bunch of like 2-lane roads going to all these different places.
Yep. I mean, Buena Vista Drive is the epitome of that.
Well, think about getting into Hollywood Studios. That entrance is terrible. They put everything in the wrong spots, and they built roads in all the wrong places.
But I've been thinking about this since we had this. Like, do I think
World Drive would have needed to have been expanded another however many lanes, still past what it is today, though. But go ahead, Ron.
I don't think this is better than what we have now, just because it's a limited space. It's got a lake around it. You couldn't have expanded beyond what it is. Like,
but we still had all that other land that all this stuff ended up in, and all the other resorts ended up in. Like, this isn't the end.
I think this was the two choices: was we could keep everything concentrated in this line, or we could use the whole property. I think we're going to use the whole property. Like, I think Disney Springs is bigger than the what they say. There's over 100 places to eat and shop that's bigger than this. The hotels, we have more than this.
At this point, though, they're still trying to keep that seclusion idea, and Walt didn't want to use all that side property.
Yeah.
Walt wanted to keep the outside world as far away as possible, and instead what they did was they kept building out, and now, like, especially on the Lake Buena Vista side, there is no separation. Walt Disney World touches civilization there.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the construction of the parking garages at Disney Springs is a direct consequence of the fact that traffic is a nightmare over there, and it's finally, after how many years, it's finally gotten mostly resolved.
Yeah.
But look how long it took. This project had all the parking issues built into it underneath, and so you can imagine 30 years ahead of its time, this project solves the parking issues that have plagued downtown Disney until like last year.
You got to think, also think this way. Think about everything Walt drew up. I think Walt Disney, you could speculate, but I think if he walked around Crescent Lake, I think he'd be amazed at that. It's beautiful, and these big resorts, and it's really grand. I really think the one thing at Walt Disney World Walt would probably frown upon is those parking structures. I don't think that whole setup over there, that being so close to civilization over there, I think Walt would bulldoze that whole side of property.
What do you think? What do you think the now Disney Springs area would look like if this was built back in 1986?
I don't think it would.
Village. It wouldn't be there. Yeah.
Maybe they
It
would
either wouldn't exist or
Yeah, because the village certainly has been reconstructed so many times that barely anything original is still there.
At this point, it still wasn't much of anything.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, like this incorporates Pleasure Island and a lot of the west side. I mean, it has all the restaurants.
I think I saw the Empress Lily in one of the things. I thought I saw something that looked like it, so they could have moved it over here.
Possibly.
That certainly is possible. Here's some interesting numbers. The planning aspect of where the visitors were coming from, the population would have been more than half from hotels within the Disney Mountain. So there, you go and you park your car and you're done with it.
You're done. Yeah.
You don't have to move your car again.
It alleviates the traffic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only 9% from local residents, but 21% from hotels outside of Walt Disney World.
I think that 9% is a low estimation.
I was going to say, so I mean, you look at, again, Disney Springs now, the parking nightmare that has become, a good portion of that is local traffic.
It is true. That's not a lot of parking inside of there, but there would have been other ways to get there.
Yeah. But I just wonder, especially like this time of year when people are trying to go shopping for Christmas or whatever, that's when it seems Disney Springs gets the most.
But maybe Disney shouldn't be the place people go Christmas shopping.
No,
maybe that's not what Walt Disney World is.
That's true, but I mean, it still happens. So I just wonder about, people trying to get out to this island and how badly it would have backed up traffic.
Again, I don't think we're having the Virgin Megastore on top of this mountain.
Would have made Nick's job as a traffic reporter really difficult.
Yeah. But look, this is really neat. They've got projected room rates in $1986.
Dear.
Ron, get that calculator out.
I'm actually trying to remember. I think the Contemporary was like 70 something a night at the time.
Not in 86.
No, I thought it was
probably in the 90s by then.
I know Caribbean Beach in 1989 was $79 a night.
Yeah. Contemporary is probably around $100 at this point.
This is probably a little bit below Contemporary. Contemporary is probably about $140, $150 a night at this point, because Caribbean Beach was $79.
Or maybe the convention hotel is
maybe they were. Maybe I remember my parents talking about like Florida resident rates or something, or
Hollywood $125.
I mean, what's that in today's dollars? That has to be.
It's roughly double.
Look at that. Paid cover attendance to the 16 nighttime entertainment facilities.
Wow.
Sounds familiar, don't it?
Yep. $6.50 cover charge.
Kids.
What was the cost to get into Pleasure Island when it opened? More than $650.
Who knows? No one went.
Actually, these hotels would be uncomparable to the average prices at the Crescent Lake. About about double.
A lot of them are those hotels.
No, I'm just saying the price.
Literally
rate,
the boardwalk.
If you adjust the prices, they're very similar to what those would be right now.
And the Contemporary was a little more than that, so the Contemporary was probably about 150 at this point. 35 restaurants.
Yeah, 35
restaurants with 6,000 seat guest capacity.
So what would the business rooms be in like today dollars then?
It's about 2.4 is the multiplier.
Okay, so you're looking at around 250, 270.
Yeah, it's kind of the lower end rate for those hotels.
That being said, Disney is pricing ahead of inflation, so you're probably talking, you're talking exactly those prices at Yacht and Beach.
Well, I did the thing I had used was like a construction cost calculator, which is also something that's gone way up beyond normal inflation too.
Yeah. There's the front of the book. There's my hand holding the book. There you go.
This is the most famous finger on Twitter, by the way.
It is, yeah. How many souvenir cup pictures has that band been in?
Maps and everything else.
Yeah, true.
I can't believe the scope of this.
Oh,
It's
look,
just
show that
incredible.
first page. The first page is kind of cool with just the little text. Keep going.
This one?
No, the cover page. After the cover, the inside cover.
Oh, a pre-feasibility.
Oh, May 1986. There you go.
There you are.
Oh, look, this was a lot of this was probably done by Bechtel.
Yeah.
Bechtel's a huge construction company. Man. So this is, Imagineering put their stamp on the front because it was probably their concept, but all of the cost and construction
was probably done by
same
Bechtel.
way U.S. Steel carried out the resorts.
Exactly. So that's probably the concept was probably come up by 2 or 3 guys at Imagineering, and then they sent it to Bechtel to work out all the details. So I think a lot of this document probably came from work done by Bechtel, not by Imagineering.
That
almost makes it more surprising that it didn't leak.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think the final product...
These were handed out and they got one and then they...
Yeah, the final product, this final report was in Imagineering. Bechtel didn't want it anymore after they were done, but Bechtel was sort of contracted to put all the numbers and projections
together. It's amazing that nobody has ever said anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure both Bechtel and Disney have NDAs.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think this would work better, like if you wiped out downtown Disney in California and put this kind of in that place.
And they almost did. Westcott. I want to talk about what happened, and then we can come back to everyone going, "Oh, this was the coolest. Oh my God, why didn't this happen? I'm so sad. Rivers of Light's terrible too. What are we doing? Trump is president. We're all gonna die. We could do all that
snowballing.
We could do all that doom and gloom after. So what happened? Instead of the one single structure, Disney broke down the project into Crescent Lake, a collection of hotels and other venues located between the Disney MGM Studios and Epcot Center. That includes the Beach Club Resort in 1990, the Yacht Club Resort in 1990, the Swan and Dolphin Hotels in 1990, the Boardwalk Resort in 1996, and an expansion of the Beach Club into villas in 2002. In addition, many of the ideas for Disney Mountain were recycled, even if not used. They were in some way, shape, or form they came to life. The international hotels were revived as part of the Westcott project. They ended up inside the park. They were supposed to be above the streets and villages of the international markets and attractions in the World Showcase portion of Westcott. Pleasure Island basically was a part of this project and was spun off to the Disney Village Marketplace. Some of those ideas eventually branching into the West Side when that became a thing in 1996. The parking structures that automatically count spaces, we said it earlier, it's now at Disney Springs. They were thinking far ahead at the time. The Swan and Dolphin, not Disney-owned hotels. Disney did indeed allow outside companies to own hotels in the middle of the magic. The Hollywood Hotel eventually was built at Hong Kong Disneyland Resort in one way, shape, or form. The Boardwalk was built in 1996. It happened, didn't have the attractions, although the attractions almost did happen, and eventually they were turned into just a pool area. The convention centers, that much convention space still was added to Walt Disney World. The Yacht and Beach Clubs, Coronado, the Grand Floridian, all built convention center space. And the MGM Studio Tour, of course, became the Disney MGM Studios, which includes a 5,000-seat version of the Hollywood Bowl. And, of course, Jason mentioned that clean water area. Could very well have been Typhoon Lagoon, which also opened in 1989 along with Pleasure Island. So, as they say at Walt Disney Imagineering, a good idea never dies. In fact, it usually gets broken into several much cheaper pieces and brought to fruition.
That's what they always say?
Yeah, that's what they say. That's how that line goes. I didn't change it at all. And Walt Disney, of course, said, never mind. Walt Disney, of course, said, maps are the best. That was Walt Disney's quote.
Well, it really does sound like they took all the, when this got scrapped, whenever it was, they still took all the best parts of it.
Well, because I think they sat at a meeting and it was, here's what we need. We need convention space. We need hotels. We need nighttime entertainment. We need, recreation. And that was still, even after you cancel this project, you still need those things.
Yeah, you
so
do.
You just approach them from a different angle.
What this project did was it took an incredibly innovative approach to infrastructure and traffic and automobile parking management.
Turning the current needs of Walt Disney World into Epcot, the city.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it did. That's exactly what Epcot was designed to do. I mean, all of these concepts are really cool, but hotels, convention space, an amphitheater, nightlife are all...
It's thematically so much more brilliant. Look at the... I don't mean to knock Walt, but Epcot, the city, just kind of this big glistening city of the future. This ties into everything around it and offers so much more. It is a brilliant rethinking of Walt's vision.
Yeah, it really is.
At the the height of the golden age, second golden age of Imagineering. This is when Eisner came in and the sky was the limit. And this shows it.
Yep. This is so incredible. The hotels incorporated into this concept are so incredibly innovative because being 6 or 7 or 10 levels high, you've got hotel rooms. Every one of them has a view.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because of the way it's built, you've got hotels that are essentially built into the side of a mountain.
And then extend above it. Yeah.
You've got hotel rooms on essentially one side only of the hotel, and the whole other side of the hotel is inside the mountain and can be filled with infrastructure and support services for those hotels. So this is amazing in terms of the guest perspective on this whole project, where you look at this big development and you don't see anything. People talk about like the dumpster views at Wilderness Lodge. That doesn't exist here.
Yeah.
Every hotel room has a view. So and I mean, I'm looking at this map now, and now that I see the Hollywood Bowl Amphitheater and look at these buildings that surround
it. Those are. That's the hotel.
All of this is the hotel, which is utterly amazing to have an entire hotel like this surround the amphitheater. With views into it. I didn't realize this was all hotel until we talked about the amphitheater and how it would work. That's amazing. You can see this clear water area. So this pedestrian bridge, what we initially talked about as a pedestrian bridge, is clearly some kind of barrier to contain the clean water area that's a beach. But then you've got all this other, look, this is all beach area and this is all water, but this is not the swimming area.
No, it's all
watercraft. How many fences they would have needed.
Imagine, big boulder and a fence.
I honestly have been thinking that for a while.
I don't think the alligators can climb the mountain.
Oh, stop it. That's not even the mountainside. That's the other side.
No, this is the outside. Yeah.
I just imagine the alligators like in the water holding a fist up like, curse you, Disney Mountain! Yeah. Curse you! Oh, and then the like water drainage system like shoots onto them and scares them away.
I'm looking at this little thing over here. This looks like the Ferris wheel right here.
Yeah.
This is where the boardwalk
on the water. That became the London Eye.
No, that became the Mickey's Fun Wheel.
Yeah. And again, all that stuff just kind of kept getting recycled. It got recycled into Disney's America. It got recycled into DCA. I mean, the story.
Yeah, I mean, how much of this went to Westcott, which then turned into DCA? So sure.
Yeah.
And what about this boat, half capsized?
SS Russworthy, right? You can't see there's a big McDonald's in there. You can see
Oh, jeez.
French fryosaurus.
But
There's some Panda Express in here.
folks, that is Disney Mountain. I certainly hope it lived up to everyone's expectations.
Wow.
I promise you guys something
Yes.
big for our first video Back to the Future. And that's it. Any other final thoughts?
I think this is the first that needs to be the Back to the Future alternate timeline sub segment.
It's just doing an alternate
Yeah.
timeline where all those canceled projects come to fruition.
That'd be a good year of Back to the Futures.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Mhm.
As long as Tom gets more concept art and pre-feasibility studies,
Working on
yeah,
it.
we'll be good.
Working on it.
So I've been fairly quiet this whole time.
You have been.
I'm kind of depressed a little bit because of all this.
It's depressing. It's beautiful. It's
It
such
is
a
very
good
I
beautiful.
did
project.
too. Why is it depressing?
Because it doesn't
Because they got
exist.
Because it
California
doesn't
Adventure.
exist. But because of all. Okay, I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer of this whole thing. I'm thinking this is a really bad idea. This is a horrible idea
Why?
Why?
because of the way of the implementation fiscally. I don't think it would work. And like a lot of people are saying, like, oh, like traffic issues. And I understand that they planned a lot of this stuff out ahead of time, and saying, oh yeah, I know there'd be these really creative systems that would let cars come in and out seamlessly. I don't know if they could have done it, seeing how road systems right now in Walt Disney World are working, and how I don't know. I don't think what.
Well, think about it. I kind of agree that like it's great, and you can expand new things in other areas, but you can't expand any individual elements here. There's no expansion pads. There's nothing like that.
But do you need to expand the individual elements if you build more at Walt Disney World to draw away from it?
No,
But
but
if
if this is
something
supposed to
works-
be like the epicenter of Walt Disney World and everyone comes here, imagine how this was done based on 1990 projections. That would be like taking all of the stores that are at Disney Springs right now and cramming them into Pleasure Island.
But folks, the Magic Kingdom area was the epicenter of Walt Disney World, and then as more got built, the people moved. It spreads out.
Well, also, I want about this point that if it's everything so packed so tightly, what if we need to do a big refurbishment of an area? If you need to refurbish a whole hotel, in order to get all the construction equipment in, you're going to have to shut down probably several large parts of this island.
I mean, I think there was probably a significant amount of access points to the infrastructure from the parking and central areas. But what I'm more concerned about is some sort of natural disaster and evacuation of this sort of area, because that would be nearly impossible.
Yeah, one road in, one road out. That wouldn't fly real well.
No, that is probably the most unfeasible part of this whole thing, is how to evacuate it.
Yeah.
Because it would be nearly impossible. There's no, there's walkways, yeah, but there's no way to get all those cars out of there.
That's
And
also
then,
a pretty much a single point of failure too. If you're looking at either some accident that happens
on the
or
bridge,
some, or
that's
some
right.
sort of more malicious thing as well.
I mean, imagine if an
you could very
SUV,
easily lock that down.
yeah, an SUV crashes into a sign and shuts down one of the bridges.
Or just, yeah. You get a semi that flips over on a bridge, and that whole bridge is out, and I don't know if the other areas could take that load.
Yeah, no, that's certainly I think there's a lot of really great planning elements in here, but I think a lot of that kind of stuff was not part of the planning. It just doesn't seem to be part of the planning.
And I think one of the more interesting things is stuff that was missing from these plans, like the monorail was already not talked about in here. They already said no more monorail expansion.
Oh, it says
No, they
possibility
mentioned-
possibility of
Possibility?
several
Possibility,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but they don't show any plans for it though. as far
No,
as
it
any
says
rendering.
it clearly says in the document we could have boats and this and that, and then it says monorail is an optional addition.
What I think this is, and what I think the point of this whole thing was not any sort of development plan. It was Imagineering gives them some concepts and some pictures, and says we need to figure out what this is going to cost and what our return on investment is going to be. And there is a blurb in the beginning of this where it talks about like a 12% internal rate of return or something like that as far as the investment goes. What I think, and I thought Ron was going to touch on this when he mentioned something a couple minutes ago. What I think that probably derailed a lot of this is that if you look at this project and you compare it to, say, Crescent Lake, this project spends an awful lot of money on infrastructure, like a parking garage, and there's no rate of return on that capital expense. So for the amount of money that you spend on Disney Mountain, imagine building twice as much stuff spread out as opposed to compact like this.
And that's probably the argument that won out.
I think that's the argument. I think that is very likely to be the argument that killed the project, was that we could spend the same amount of money, or actually it's probably we could spend half as much money if we don't do this in such a single compact area, but spread it out over all this land. And we have all this land in Florida. Why don't we spread it out? There's no financial other than the sort of concept of Disney and his Florida project and the Epcot the city sort of thing, and all those lofty goals. There's no financial impetus to do this in such a compact fashion in Florida. Now, maybe there is it at Disneyland, but certainly not in Florida. They have the land in Florida. Spending all that money on infrastructure when they don't need to. I mean, they needed to build a parking garage at Downtown Disney 10 years ago, and look how long it took them to spend that money. Yeah. And this is 30 years ago. They're essentially building those parking garages underneath Downtown Disney. I think that is the fine. As most things in the Walt Disney Company and any publicly traded company, financial aspects are often the aspect that derails a plan. And I think specifically the very lofty and worthwhile goals of having a beautiful and traffic-free environment. Those goals are great, but they cost a heck of a lot of money.
It's Walt's Epcot versus reality, which is what brought Epcot Center into being a second theme park at Walt Disney.
Exactly.
I mean, that's always what it was.
Yeah, I think this is there's a lot of aspects of this that would have had, I guess, a wow factor, I'm sure, to us. But in the end, it's not something we really need. I mean, I think it might have been pretty cool to look at, but I mean, in the end, doing this, that's kind of you said it better than I was trying to think of a way to say it. That it doesn't make sense for them to spend the money.
It's right. It's not a good use of their money, their capital money.
Because you're not buying a theme park ticket to go in there necessarily.
But
and
convention center space and restaurants.
I get that, but again, that's better done. To me, that's better done spread out instead of trying to pack all these people into this one area. I honestly think
arguments for both sides.
Well, I think the argument is that all that stuff was needed, but the extra money they spent on the infrastructure to put it in one location was not a necessary expense. Yeah.
I think you could argue that you might get a better guest experience by spreading things out.
I think what they're trying to build with this is community. It's a sense of community.
They were still trying to live up to what Walt Disney World was supposed to do.
And that's where I see the positives in this is that you're going to have a lot more interaction with other guests in this area. It's not going to be this spread out where you're just, barely making contact with other human beings. I mean, this is a time when we were more together as a people, I think, than we are now. And I think they wanted to build that. That wasn't trying to make any statement.
It's lifting the roof off of the Epcot City. It's lifting that roof off.
Do you want that if you're on vacation?
I don't know.
Well, see, I don't know that this was for vacation. This was clearly for business,
focused on business and
adults and adult entertainment. The vacation aspect of it was up at the Magic Kingdom.
That was for families, and then everybody else.
Makes sense.
I mean, it's kind of like if you go on vacation as a family, how often do you stay at the Coronado Springs? You don't. No, because that's the convention resort. You stay there if all the other moderates are booked. But Coronado Springs is not the vacation.
Is almost only convention people.
Yeah, Yacht Club
Captain's
is
Grill
not.
only survives because of conventions.
Yeah, Yacht Club is not a vacation hotel. Beach Club sort of is a little more, just because I think the concept is more family friendly. But certainly, Yacht Club is not a family vacation hotel at all.
Yeah. But again, hopefully, you all enjoyed this trip through this project that has never seen the light of day. I know in these segments we usually do sort of starting at the beginning, going through the history of the space, but obviously the thing of this magnitude, it just doesn't really allow us to go. We could spend hours going into all the hotels and things that were actually built, and it just doesn't make sense. And I think we spent. I think there's more than enough to digest from the Disney Mountain Prefeasibility Study. And hopefully you all enjoyed this very much. I'd like to thank our illustrious panel for diving into this project with me.
Woohoo!
Thank you for having us.
As always. Yeah.
And with that, you can take it away, McFly.
Whoosh!